All right, we got a couple stragglers coming over. We're ready to start, right? Okay. So I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Aiken for our student spotlight. We're actually going to do a little road show and go down to early childhood where she will present Kendra, one of our junior students who's done really, really great things, and Skills USA is going to present to us.
So folks, we are spotlighting early childhood education. We have not talked about them in a couple of years, so I thought now is the perfect time. They have a big, beautiful, fully renovated space. And so Kendra Ramey is here with us this evening. As I introduced her to the student body, she is your president and mine because she is our Skills USA president for our chapter. But she's really excited. She wants to take you down to the space so you can see the preschool, their classroom, and then she's got some stations set up. I mean, she's an early childhood educator, so this makes sense. She's got stations set up so she can kind of tell you about that and the things that they're working on. So if you want to follow us, that'll be good.
Okay.
Just a little awkward, but it's
Yeah, we're going to do a presentation.
I had to do everything left-handed. I have to, I bought an electric toothbrush. There's so many things that you're used to.
Well, there you go.
That's perfect. I wouldn't take it.
You're missing the field trip now.
I am. I agree with it.
All of this.
Going always daylight, it's all short.
really is once he gets it. Now, if they want to do something like that with their, that's fine. But is that necessary? It's just the basics. Correct, over there, yeah. Absolutely, for sure.
So that's the side, that's a new addition to the building. As you come down that hallway, there's two spaces that were empty on the left-hand side as you came back. Those are the two spaces for new program addition. The second space there, the one closer to us, is where we'll put emergency protective services. And the outside space is still yet to be determined. All right. I think we got everyone back. We'll jump through the agenda. Probably the big item on the agenda, there is a real heavy lift on the agenda, but the big item is probably the budget. So why don't we turn and take a look at the budget documents that you have. We'll start with the overview. 10,000 feet, $8.1 million budget. Overall, it's a 9.11% increase to this year's current budget. On the district contribution side of things, it's a 3.35% increase. We were 4.72 million last year, and we'll be at 4.87 million with next year's budget. If everyone has that packet, we'll go through a few pages of the packet to explain some things in the budget. Everybody have this packet? Kind of a thicker packet. And then there's a one pager that's the overview. Okay. So we started with the overview, and then we'll go to the packet. Basically, like I said, 3.35% increase in district contributions. Basically, district contributions make up 62% of the budget of the total revenue that we bring in. 29% coming from state and federal sources and 9% from other local sources. We continue to have the $75,000 transfer for general fund into capital projects, for capital expenditures, to build over time. A couple other notable items. Probably the main thing is the increase is based on 3 new instructors next year with emergency protective services, health assistant, and Cosmo getting extra instructors, going to two teacher labs there. And then we added an instructional aide this year, and we'll add one again next year. So when we started the budget for this year, that one instructional aide was not in the original budget of this year. We added this year, so it'll look like 2 instructional aides in our budget next year. Our instructional aides all go through Perkins funding and that grant, so it doesn't really change the bottom line for district contribution and instructional aides. We did add a custodial position, and we have built a secretary position into the budget next year. Right now, we have no plans of adding a secretary, but it's probably coming with going from 629 students, 4 years ago, to having over 950 projected next year. It's just, it ends up being that many more IEPs, that many more in and outs, things to track with student data and everything else that comes into play there. So the 7 new positions is really the main, a big lift on the budget. There's a couple other things in there, projected 403B payments for staff retirements, the capital reserve budget transfer we talked about. Those are the big items. So any questions on the overview page before I dismiss the overview page and go to the detail?
Nope. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Did we, your team and yourself, take into any consideration in the budget for any proposed increases that we could be expecting from the state?
Yes. The subsidy increase, what we know about, we did. If we know about it, we build it in. If we don't know about it, if it's hypothetical being talked about, I know there's actually a series of budget hearings in the next couple of weeks here with the education committee and whatnot.
fair funding formula and all
Yeah,
that.
if, what we know about, on paper for sure, that's what's built into this budget. If there's a bunch of hypotheticals out there, because there is supposed to be a lot more support coming for career and tech ed, but until that's in writing in a law, we don't build that in,
Gotcha.
so.
Thank you.
Rick, how much of that goes to home schools and then gets turned back here? Like the fair funding formula, that's gonna go to our home school, that's not gonna come here per se for that one, but there could be some just career and tech ed stuff that could come straight.
Correct.
Yes, it's the subsidy to career and tech ed. If they change that formula a little bit to give more money to each student that comes here, each district gets a subsidy for each student that comes here. If they change that formula, you know, that'll have a positive impact on district contribution. Yeah, it would be positive, yeah. We'll get into some of that detail here. Does any questions on the overview before I go into the detail?
No, unless it was baked in from last year, no big operational, keeping the lights on, all the building facilities costs into this from year over year, or that was baked into really last year and it's marginal this year?
I did.
You're talking big changes? Yeah, we built that. What changes? Go ahead, Jess, I'll let you.
Yeah, for the utilities, yeah, it did increase it a little bit. We're not done with the renovation yet, so I'm not sure how much money we're gonna be using, but it's gonna go up a little every year.
Sure, okay.
Jess just had mouth surgery on Monday,
That's
so
why it's
Poor-
a lot.
poor thing is,
But utilities are increasing because we increased the square footage of the school. So the energy savings that we would have seen was offset by the increase in space.
yes.
That's what I was trying to, if efficiencies in the new facility, you know, offset the consumption, we're kind of close to balance.
Yes, we definitely added a significant square footage
Agreed.
on the building with the renovation project. I don't know if y'all knows that off the top of your head, but it's that whole wing between the culinary, early childhood, and those two new labs are definitely new part of the
A
building.
few years ago, we had done the lights and got some of the Pedelec rebates, things like that, so I think a lot of that does, but you've got a whole new infrastructure now, so it'd be interesting to see.
I didn't see as one of the bullet point items, you know, as a worth noting that it was a sizable increase.
It was not, and
Yeah.
part of that is the efficiencies that we're
Correct.
expecting to have in heating and so forth, and lighting, but, you know, we did increase that line item. which
Oh, no
was-
doubt, yeah, that's why I was kind of surprised that didn't hit one of your bullet points.
Yeah.
So,
Probably a stupid question. When you're under construction, the construction men consume great quantities of electricity. Do we pay for that? Do they pay for that? I mean, they have things plugged into your walls all over the place.
Yeah, we pay for that.
We pay for it, yeah.
It's not something we separate out to bill back.
And that maybe is a should.
We're almost there, though.
That's a good question.
They're moving out, we're almost there.
That's a good
It's kind of
question.
industry standard that when you do construction, you have existing utilities,
No, that's a
but you
great
own the
question.
utility, because you're just gonna get built back anyway with the markup. So you might as well just pay for the power to start.
That's better, it's better that way.
Tell you anything that
I do have
Yes,
one
we did.
question. I know it's not necessarily related to this budget, but as the school has expanded and is projected to expand, we have one principal with almost 1,000 students. When does that model have to change, or does it not have to change?
We have an assistant, we just heard about
However,
She's very bossy, she's very good, she's very bossy.
She's a pretty good negotiator,
it. I like that.
I
but
would
three,
say-
still three.
That is something that is a discussion, but it hasn't moved past just a note. And I think part of the reason is we have a really good team here between Lisa and Sandy that support Julie and all the stuff. Lisa and Sandy work with all the special ed students, and that's about 30% of our population actually is special ed. So that's about a third of our students, so they're involved in a lot of some of those lifts. And that is definitely something that we'll potentially look at down the road. As of right now, you know, between director and those two, I haven't really got too involved in student discipline outside of when she's out of the building, so right now we haven't gone that route.
This will be the first full year with the assistant, right?
Assistant principal,
Yeah.
we don't have an assistant principal.
You're gonna-
The assistant principal we were talking about was her daughter that's a
But
preschool.
I thought we looked at budgeting that a year or so.
Well, when Joe was gonna, that was a couple years ago, when Joe was gonna retire, we were going to, that's back when we still had a previous director. So that was to bring that on to, as Joe was gonna retire as well, we were gonna bring an assistant on for like 6 months, and then, okay, that kinda all went away when everything that transpired. So yes, there was actually something in the budget.
Yeah.
That was probably 2 years ago, I guess.
Do we feel there's a need right now for an assistant principal? If she's comfortable with how things are running and you're not having a problem, do you see yourself needing an assistant principal?
Is this my opportunity to give you my expert professional opinion?
Of course.
In my expert professional opinion, I believe that the direction that ECTS is heading in and the growth that we are anticipating, I believe it's in our best interest to entertain the idea of an assistant director. And that would allow us room to grow in our night school and adult ed classes, in our high school programs during the day, in all of those capacities. I believe that that would be better suited for our needs moving forward.
Okay, thank you very
Especially
much.
with grant projects and stuff like that. And there's so much opportunity out there in grants. And, you know, there's a list of grants that the dates are coming up on, and, you know, right now it's mostly Jess and I. But there's definitely a chance to expand and grow.
But you have a distinct advantage that we don't have, and that is you can tell kids, if you misbehave, we'll make you go back to McLean and study English and history and social
Well, that's the
studies.
one-liner several of our teachers use, is that, hey, listen, we can change your schedule. And I can talk to the Spanish teacher and get you in. You know, nothing against Spanish, but, you know, the kids love being here. They really do. And, you know, not that we don't have, you know, 10% of the population that fights us no matter what happens. Brings vape, someone asked me, oh, you don't really, one of the board members, I was touring from McDowell, I was 5 board members here from McDowell. We gave a tour, one of their comments was, you don't really have discipline. I said, no, we do. It's just different though, because more kids are motivated by this learning environment. They chose to go here, they're in something they're interested in, it's hands-on, all that stuff definitely changes through the perspective.
I was at McLean teaching when we started the school. I've been around, I've older than dirt. And kids had to take tests to come. If you didn't do well in the test, you couldn't come. And so you had to stay and study Spanish, English, social studies. Fate worse than death.
Well, those are all good subjects.
They still need English and social studies, I think.
And math.
Just to graduate.
They definitely did math.
But
But,
they don't
I think we should definitely keep an eye on it. I mean, especially on your end, you know, we also don't wanna be burning you out.
so, well, that is, in my mind, that was probably not a next year conversation, but that's probably a 25, 26 budget. That probably getting close there, but I don't have enough of, you know, I'm 8 months in and just learning and stuff like that, so I feel like I'll get more efficient. I've done everything for a year, that kind of stuff, I'm hoping, probably not, but yeah. But yeah, so that is definitely on the radar, but it wasn't put into this budget, we weren't ready to pull a trigger on something like that and build it in the budget. Once you build something in the budget and people know about it, then they get their hopes up, and a lot of times there's a push that, you know, just within our own staff, you know, union and whatnot, to know, hey, I heard this is in the budget, when are we gonna pull the trigger on this, you know, type scenario. But so that's where we're at right now. If we go to detail, we wanna turn to page 29, I'm gonna kind of walk you through, what each of your districts kind of lift is and that kind of, for the budget, basically. So if you start on page 29, it's kind of towards the back there. You got your average daily membership. So we build a budget and we bill you off of the 3-year average. But if you notice, the 3-year average is not including our year. You were already there, Mike. You're making
I know, I'm sorry.
So we have the 2021, basically PIMS reporting on average daily membership, 21, 22, and 22, 23. Those 3-year averages go into what we bill on. So if you notice, next year, on the fourth column over, 3-year average at the bottom, it's 708 total students. So we'll bill tuition, a budget that is 8.1 million with a divisor of 708 to make tuition. We'll have over 950 students on our campus. So the budget total was educating 950, but your tuition's set on that 708, just so everybody understands that. And that kind of holds the averaging a little better, and there's less bubbles by doing the 3-year averaging. Any questions on those averages?
So we're really pretending it's 3 years ago.
So when you look at tuition rate of $8,300, you're dividing our budget that's going to educate 950 students by 708, which is an average that's built off of 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and 4 years ago.
I think you should have a column showing us what it would be if you're using the 908 number.
Would be much less.
950, yeah. I mean,
Much less.
that's an easy calculation to do, but yeah, we can throw that out there. Just do the quick division and let us know.
And a former director who used to play games like that and make it, then he would go to Mill Creek and show Mill Creek would say, well, that's the price we want to pay, and then we had to change the funding formula, so we don't want to play too many games to
Mike
get
would
far ahead of ourselves.
He would.
All right, so now if you flip forward to page
We're a
31.
contributing member at this point.
That was pre-Mike, I think, right?
It was pre-me.
Now if you flip down to page 31 and go to the bottom chart, the second chart down on page 31, that takes into play the bottom chart on page 31. Basically, you see that pure pupil cost of $8,325. That's where we take our total budget, gross of district contribution, we divide it by 708, and that gets our tuition per pupil cost at $8,325. Everybody with me and know where we're at? Good. So that's the gross, basically saying, okay, yeah, that's district contribution in whole. Backing up to the top one, the state then goes through and gives each district a subsidy based on the students that they send here with their market value variable ratio calculations for wealth and all that good stuff. They give each one of you a subsidy to help educate your students in career and tech ed. That get passed to us. And that in total of all 11 districts is a little over $1 million. So we go from the gross to the net, where that is the actual amount, that 4.8 million that's in the top box there, in the top chart. That's actually what we will collect from you guys. And then what that does is, what we get for Fairview decreases Fairview's amount. What we get for General McLean decreases General McLean's amount, and so forth. To where then each district then has a different per pupil cost rate there in that third column on that upper chart, based on what the state gives you guys for kids that you send us. Is there any questions there?
Did somebody think you make this more complicated? Possibly.
Okay. So Jess, did you do that quick math for me?
For the 950,
Yeah, so
the
8.1 million divided by 950 students.
yes, so the gross would be at 6,206,
Okay.
and the net will be at 5,135.
Okay. So if we went off of 950 students next year, it would be 6,206 would be the tuition per pupil. And then once we take off the state subsidy, it would be
5,135.
5,135 is really what we end up paying per pupil, so. Any questions there?
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So with that then, we back up just a page to page 30. And we get where you have our secondary expenses year after year after year. And you can see the net changes year after year after year of your district contribution. And we go after the state subsidy. So after the state subsidy, we got our whole budget, then we have our district contribution after state subsidy of 4.878 million there. And that's where we're getting, it's a 3.35% increase in our budget as the lift of our local districts. Any questions there? And now we'll jump even forward more to page 28. And now you have kind of the chart of year after year percent changes that you guys have in actual numbers. So some people will be paying less money to us next year, like Mill Creek is paying 4.8% less. Northwestern is paying 5.2% less to us next year overall. But that's based on the fact that their enrollment went down a little bit in comparison to others. And then, of course, Northeast is the biggest winner, we like to call it, because they're sending that many more students to us. That drives their cost up, and that's 19.8%, 19.5%, excuse me, growth. Where your bottom line of payments to us will be that much more next year, because you're sending like 15 more students to us every year. And then if we back up even more to page 27, that gets you the actual numbers rather than percents. So you see, okay, bottom line, whatever you paid last year is either gonna go up 4,000 or down 4,000 or up, down 16 or up whatever. So Northeast has that $87,000 more that they're gonna pay to us next year. Again, we said you're the lucky winner, Corey. And then you have all the details then in the pages before. So you can, flip through those and see local sources and state sources and different budgets, like from nursing to fiscal to operations to plant management, human resources, each individual budget, the salaries and benefits, and so forth. And there's pie charts there that, in my mind, are pretty, but maybe don't give the detail that you're looking for. Well, I just built off the template that Joe used in the past, right? But Jess really did all the work for this, so I give all the kudos to Jess. And Jess, you do not have to say anything, because I know your mouth is hurting.
Thumbs up, thumbs up.
Thanks, Jess, for all the detail. Any other questions on the proposed budget for 24-25? Hearing none, let's go back to the agenda, Mike. As we roll through the items on the agenda, any questions on anything we could probably go through? There's, the beginning stuff, any questions on the minutes from last month or anything like that? Keep rolling, Mike. We'll go down to operations, please. We just did the budget discussion. ESS substitutes, basically we're moving away from Kelly Services, and we're gonna move with ESS for our substitute service.
I had a question on that. We have a clause, homeschool, I'm curious, is something other, when we have a long-term sub, we employ them directly outside of that. Is there any, and they're fine with that, at least they have been, but is there any scenario here, because the way I read that language, it looks like everything has to be strictly them. Is there any scenario here where we may want to hire our own, that we want to put a caveat in there before we would approve that? Obviously, they would have to approve that too, but it's a different operation here, so I don't know.
Yes, and we have the same thing in Mill Creek, but it's part of our contract with our teachers union, that if a person subs for so long that they have to fall in.
I think that's state law.
It's actually the school code.
Yeah, so do we?
When you hit day 91, you get step one of the
Yeah, so
contract.
the tech school have the same thing with their union agreement, so technically, probably.
So those employees, once they get day 91, then would be not
They
substitutes.
would be, they would be an employee, they get step one of the contract and benefits, so. everyone's definition of long-term sub is different. Some people say a long-term sub and they're gonna be with us for a month. By school code, it's once they hit day 91, and then step one of the contract. Am I got that right, Tim? And, you know, they've got a right to the benefits in step one of the contract. And it's retroactive the first day that they started. So in our mind, that would trump, because it's school code, it's law, that would trump that agreement with Kelly Services. So at that point, we would take where we're hiring, you know, we have the person as a sub, we would be paying Kelly for days 1 to 89. 1 to 90, I guess. Once they hit day 90, then they're in as our employee.
I'll be sure about that, Tim, that we can recruit their employee away from them. and without
Well, there's a
penalty.
clause in there, I think, that they haven't enforced.
We could question that clause if we wanted to.
So if we hire someone from a temporary agency, we typically have to pay them to take their employee on board. I know that's not in the school
It's
setting,
not in
but
the school.
what I'm saying is we want to make sure that we're not paying them their 20, whatever their markup is on us paying for that person.
So we would have already paid them for days 1 to 90, we'd be paying them on their markup. And at the point of transitioning into them being our employee full-time and getting, you know, step one of our contract and stuff, we would no longer be going through Kelly Services.
So if the
Do you use Kelly
service,
Services?
not Kelly anymore, it's.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, ESS?
Everybody's
You have your own list.
transitioned out of Kelly.
Yeah, most
Almost
people,
everybody has.
yes. Who uses ESS?
I think everybody does.
Yeah, okay. So For the Buff doesn't, so I can't ask Rick on how they handle it. But,
I just wanted to make sure, because I know they're encompassing, but now's the time to negotiate if we want to get something in. And operations are different here, and I don't have my hand around that, I guess that's what I'm looking for. When you have an instructor off, sometimes you'll use an instructional aid. I don't want the language in here, and they're already an employee here, I don't want the, you know, as long as you guys are good and think we're fine, we're fine. I wanted to raise that question when I was reading through that, it looked like kind of no exceptions, and I just want to make sure. What we're doing now, basically, we want to keep doing the same thing, except instead of Kelly Services, we want this new.
we want ESS because all of our member districts use ESS.
Sure.
Or
That's
most
where
of
the
them,
pool of the teachers are right now.
most of them. So when we sign up with ESS and we have a substitute that maybe works for, you know, Mill Creek that's with ESS, they potentially could then just seamlessly work for us as well through ESS. We went with Kelly Services originally because everybody went with
Yep.
Kelly Services. How many years ago was that? 9, 10? Like 10 years ago, and then in the last 5 years, everyone's kind of moved away from Kelly to ESS. And so when I came on last spring, that was one of the first things I know Kat talked to me about, and I said, we're not ready to make that jump yet, but I used ESS with Riverview IU6. We used ESS and felt like that markup, we were getting marketing, we were getting meetings, we were getting recruiting, we were getting social media advertisement, that kind of stuff going on. Signage and different things that they were doing, job fairs, recruiting.
Kelly was really good when it started, because they had personnel here that wanted to do it. As personnel changed and moved, that's why everybody moved. It wasn't that we moved away from Kelly, Kelly moved away from us.
It was twofold,
Yeah.
twofold, yeah.
When you're not filling it, what good is the service, you know?
And to be honest with you, our prediction's gonna be that it's not gonna change a whole lot in terms of the shortage, right? Every single one of us is facing that substitute, that teacher shortage to begin with, other than the substitute teacher shortage. We're gonna continue to have that, and our best avenue is recruiting from within to find substitutes and so forth. We have moved to using our instructional aides and getting them all emergency permits and locals permits and that kind of stuff to sub. And we're getting more aides, you know, we're hiring a couple more aides, so that helps that. When they don't get filled by Kelly, then we have a couple other, I mean, you have to have answers, right? You have to turn the answers, so every single one of our aides that have a bachelor's degree, we're doing the, you know, emergency permit, guest teacher side of things.
6'3", 6'4", and 6'5". I don't remember when I read through it. As long as there's clauses, so we're not getting stuck.
I'm not concerned, but
I didn't see an actual
paragraph 6'4",
dollar, like percentage that they're marking up the rate to what we set.
Right, there's no financial.
There's no financial in here, there's just terms, but,
I think it's a percentage over what your rate is, because every district has a different rate.
so what is the percentage?
What is, okay,
Is it 33 or 34? 33%.
and what is our rate now for substitute?
125.
125 a day. through
And I think
Kelly
that's
Services.
from our, that's right in the sweet spot.
Our internal staff, because they're not paid through Kelly, we went to where we're paying them $150 a day. So for our instructional aides that sub, it was an incentive, because they were already making more at $18.94 an hour, and some of them are at $22 an hour. They've been here for 8, 10 years.
Do we-
6 hours, they're already making more than that
Do we
125.
need the financial number in there, what the markup percentage is, in the contract? Should there be an addendum so that they can't just change the number?
All of a sudden charge 40.
Yeah.
Typically,
Soon,
contract
there's
cover-
gotta be something somewhere.
I looked that over like 4 times and I could not
It's not
find
in this
where the
document.
markup number was in the document.
We got a 3-year commitment of the rate. By signing up for 3 years, we got a 1% lower rate.
There's a reference to an Exhibit A in paragraph 6.4.
But there's no exhibit A attached.
So I don't know whether we have an Exhibit A somewhere else.
Exhibit A is the rates. So the exhibit A is.
Exhibit A is the
It is the rates. Do we have an exhibit A? Did they share with you the rates?
So we'll have to get Exhibit A.
Okay. All right, because they sent us a chart of all the rates when we sent them our rates to us.
So
I'm
that's
wondering if
voting-
they
voting
sent it on
item
a
tonight.
separate email, Kat.
Maybe.
Because I know I saw the chart of rates when we met with them twice. We sat down with them and met with them.
When does this take effect?
It would be for the start of the July 1st of next year.
So we can
So we have
wait
time.
to table this until Exhibit A gets placed with it so that we can vote on it.
I would
Well,
say,
Exhibit A is incorporated in.
but we haven't seen it as
You
the
haven't
school
seen
board.
it.
We've
I
seen
understand that. Doesn't
So,
mean that
yeah, let's just
it
table
doesn't
it.
exist.
There's not a hurry, let's table it. So, yeah, we definitely had a chart of rates when we sat down with them. So,
I just wanted to make sure we didn't need it like next month,
no,
when we were putting in.
this is for next year, so yeah, our plan is for next year. We notified Kelly Services in November, we were moving away from them, is that right, Kat? Yeah, Kat handled communications back and forth, so. So, you know, Kelly Services knows that we're moving away from them and whatnot. So, yeah, we'll just table it and we'll approve it next month. Sounds good. We got some field trips requests. We have the instructional aid job description. There was a change to it based on our Perkins audit. They just red flagged that we had to have percentage of money being used in the grant on the job descriptions, and then we had to have a couple other signatures on it. So that's where that change is coming into play. And that's pretty much it for the operational side of things. Then we have all our bank statements and reports. If anybody has any questions on any of those, they're all attached there. And then the biggest thing is a couple hirings, right? We have 3 hirings, if you'll click on that. We have 3 new instructional aides that started yesterday. We're pretty excited to get kind of back to a full staff there. We have 3 more retiring at the end of this year, 3 really, really good ones with a lot of experience. So, you know, we'll be still hiring instructional aides. It'll be a continuous process.
Dr. Wise might be available.
Does it start early in the morning? Give me the afternoon session. I heard there's an afternoon session.
So with that, those are the main meat and potatoes. Did I miss anything over there on the agenda? I don't think so. So we'll jump to my report. If you would pull up the PowerPoint, I just threw this up here because we had our
OAC?
yes, thank you. Our spring OAC meetings. And you're gonna get the presentation. Perfect. You can go to the next slide because that was just while everyone was coming in. We kind of did a State of the Union address and had 3 different meals, sit-down meals with our OAC meetings. We did them, we were in March in the past, we moved them to February. Just because there's less going on, really in people's lives, and I think we're gonna keep them in February, it works really good. So we'll continue to be the Monday of Columbus Day in the fall for our OAC meetings, and then we'll be the Thursday before President's Day going forward. You know, I kind of use this slogan that's comes from a gift for one of our friends that was a rocker thing. You can set it and forget it, right? So, but I say that a lot because I wanted everyone to know, hey, these are the times, we know the same, it's the plan, the game plan's there and so forth. So, so I gave the State of the Union address, and I'm not gonna go through all the slides, but I kind of snipped some things into my report, if you don't mind jumping down. You guys, we know the mission, right? ECTS for the acronym. The ChatGPT version of our vision statement, it's a little long and wordy, so we threw it into ChatGPT. One of our teachers taught me how to do that. AI is coming. But it sounds pretty good. Empower students, lifelong, achieve their career and educational goals, lifelong learning, focused career development, comprehensive programming. Sounds pretty good. Keep going. So, I kind of talked about our mission vision, but I talked what's my vision, and I in the interview process, this is one of the one-liners that I talked about, is my mission. Like this is such a great place. I want us to be a force. I want everyone to know who we are, where we're at, where we're coming. So, you guys, some people didn't like my force be with you, but it's there. Keep it rolling, Mike. What's it really about is about students. To me, it's the top of the pyramid, right? We want the student success. And that's why all you guys are sitting here, serving your community. You care about kids, you care about students, and that's all of us row in the same direction, and that's really what it's about as far as our mission here. Keep rolling. Everyone knows our sending districts. So the snapshot, what's new? 47 of our 64 positions have turned over in the last 5 years. That's pretty crazy. But the good news is we have fresh blood to torture, right? The building renovation project is a huge investment. Thank you. Once again, our students are reaping the benefits and will continue to reap the benefits of that investment. We got the new programming happening and we got expansion happening. So one of the little underlying things that I like to highlight is we have record numbers of students going into career and technical education student organizations. We've got CTS, so that's what that stands for. Our kids are involved. They're getting more involved. Skills USA had a ton of kids going to it this year. National Honor Society. How many did we induct again in National Honor Society? What?
I want to say we inducted 32,
32.
and we had 50 or 51
Yes.
USA students go to districts.
So we're really, really strong in the engagement side. That to me are the metrics that matter. The students are engaged. They're doing things together. That's really, really great stuff. And of course, we highlighted a few other things with our special ed program and doing that interactive thing with the greenhouses where our special ed transition center will grow in produce and sell it and that kind of stuff. Our culinary will cook it, our construction trades will build it, facility maintenance maintain it, electrical with the solar panels. We're pretty excited about that. That is going to be a neat inter-program activity. Go ahead, next one. Record numbers, right? Our programs are expanding, our students are expanding, that continues. One of the things we talked about is student organizations. Well, with that staff turnover, we have some young staff that are very, very excited about the direction of the school, very, very excited to bring new things on. So we talk about the National Association of Home Builders. We are just started our first student organization here at ECTS of that. We'll end up having one of the third largest in the state, am I correct there?
Yeah.
We have our several programs, electrical, facility maintenance, construction trades, all, joining that. HOSA is one of the ones that our health teachers, Lena Litz from sports therapy is like, hey, can we do student organization in the health services side of things? Absolutely. So it's kind of fun and exciting that people want to do things above and beyond for students, and that's good stuff. We talked next month about what's next in the expansion side of things, so I'm going to skip over that. The other thing, so you guys are aware, is we reached out to a temp agency to get all of our students practice and hooked up with a temp agency that are seniors, so they get mock interviews, they get practice, coaching, and that kind of stuff to get jobs. And not only that, then they're linked in there. So it's mainly manufacturing was the reason why we chose the agency we chose. It's Career Concepts. But, you know, they might work as a welder for a couple of years and not even know that they have this opportunity to go over and, you know, take a position of a higher pay and a higher stature, once with a little bit of experience. So that's one of the things, we're getting all of our seniors hooked up, we're getting them all hooked up with CareerLink as well. You know, a lot of people know about CareerLink, but, you know, they don't take the initiative to get hooked up. There's a ton of, like, $5,000 per year towards tuition if you qualify through CareerLink. Why not hook them up if they're, you know, 50, what is it, 50, it's 57 or 58% economically disadvantaged in our student population. So that's more than half our kids would qualify for those. They can pay for tools and they can pay for, you know, PPE equipment and work boots and, you know, some of the gear that they gotta wear that are come out of pocket. So we're trying to hook our students up that way as well, just so everyone's aware. Connected to pre-apprenticeship programs, we've got ones connected in early childhood. We're working on precision machining. It'll hopefully have that application done by the end of the month, or the end of March, excuse me. And then alternative funding sources, like, okay, we got our foundation. Right now, we just take donations. We have some young staff that wanna do more with fundraising and so forth, and so I believe, Julie, you're ready to present on that here at some point, right?
I am.
Okay. And then the grants, going after grants, so those are the things that are kind of where we're headed. SWAT teams, you know, doing things for the Home and Garden Show, doing CPR for the member districts and so forth. Those are things that we're really trying to get our students doing live action projects that improve school and community. That's the idea behind it. All right, so we turned that Struggle to Strength program into a leadership development program based on the 4 developmental assets. It's been pretty well received. It's going all right. We're using Premier Education Services solutions for that program, and that's built in that mental health grant. So that's there, and you can skip through the next couple slides that just more about the assets, which I'm strong in. And then I kind of parting thoughts that, you know, when you talk leadership, we have great staff leadership. And so I listed all our staff up there, but there's some that really, really go above and beyond. And, you know, I highlighted Maria Sargent and Jason Klins because they take all of our new teachers, they meet with them weekly. They're their inductee, you know, take all of those induction program of all our new teachers. And with that kind of staff turnover, those people are going above and beyond. So I just highlight how great, we do have a lot of good leadership in our staff, so. All the way through our support staff. Some of our instructional aides with all the new teachers that we've hired, some of them have really, really done a nice job. Jane Boyd and Amanda Brown and Kathy, I mean, really helping support those new teachers. Because our teachers, like we said, they come from the trade. They're not really trained in education outside of a 2 or 3 day incubation, and then here you go, you're in front of 24 kids, good luck, right? And then you gotta take IUP classes over time. So we have a lot of good leadership within our staff. And that's it, we're good there. So that was my State of the Union.
That's good.
Any questions on that?
The union's in pretty good shape.
The union is rowing, we got a lot of things rowing the same direction, so we're growing and moving, so. Outside of that, my director's report, you can read it, it's the same things we have every month. We highlighted a couple students, we have a couple other things in there of announcements, but it's the same stuff, so we're good. With that ends my report, and we're ready to go to the main meeting, or do you wanna do Julie's presentation on student fundraising?
Well, let's, that's tonight, so you're ready to present, okay, just a minute, and we can do that, but, couple questions, give us just a little idea, I know we've just moved into, I think, our last classroom.
Yes,
So,
with
give
the
a little
renovation.
renovation, where we're at with that.
We have just moved in the last 2 to 3 weeks into this last wing, and we're not there and set up yet, so there's no tour yet, but I was planning on giving you guys a tour once we actually have setup going. But yeah, we're there, punch lists are being done, problems are being reviewed and looked at, and that list is not short. I look at Dell, because I think, Dell, I just saw your face when I said problems, get red. We are getting there. We're getting there, and there's a lot of good things happening. Still a lot of moving parts. Now we're just starting to make a lot of the more orders on furniture and equipment and stuff that we were holding off on till we got a sense of where are we gonna be ending up.
Let's change ours, how are we, that was part of one of my questions, is obviously when we, and again, part of the problems is we've had multiple people leading the helm during this time. So we didn't know where we were gonna end up. Now that picture's becoming clearer. Do you feel like you've got enough money left for furniture and equipment and that type of thing? Or are you still, what's your feeling?
Of course we have enough money left. You guys hired me to manage your budget. I'm not gonna go over budget yet. No, yeah, I think we're pretty good. We have that report on here. You wanna pull that up? Mike, it's down in the renovation report.
I'll look at the bottom line.
Yes, and pretty much go to page 9, because I think that's the significant detail. Is it at page 9? 9 or 10? It's usually 9.
That's 9.
That's 9, that's 10. No, keep going, 11.
Which one you're looking at?
Yes, that's the one we start with. Contingency fund, right? Let's zoom in just a hair farther.
In?
Yes, and scroll to the bottom. And go to the right. There we go. Okay. So, contingency fund, because I don't know the detail up there, you have the Cosmo in there? Under the planned expenses for cosmetology? You have that on the,
Yeah, if it was one of the change orders.
yeah,
Mhm.
with the electric and stuff's already in there. Okay.
Should be there.
So right now, we are looking at where our balance of our contingency fund is 445,000, but our balance with projected expenditures is 297,000. So that's the contingency fund, that's with Cosmo and health changes in there.
Equipment for that, like, I know you.
This isn't furniture and equipment,
Okay,
this is only the construction costs,
Okay.
right? And there are some more that are gonna come with the health and Cosmo that really aren't in there just yet. But we're in a comfortable space where I think we got 100,000 of the Cosmo in there with the change order of Scobell and the change order. Did we get a number from Perry yet? I can't remember off the top of my head if we got the Perry number for health.
Oh, I don't know, I have 69 projected for hit from Perry, so
Okay.
that's probably one.
Yes.
off of that quote. Okay, and then is there another sheet for furniture?
There's another sheet for furniture. Go ahead, Mike, to the next, is it the next one? I think it's the next one, right? So that's where we stand at furniture. Furniture and equipment, we're at 53,000, 531,000, excuse me. Little different number there, off by a 0. And we're making some significant purchases, like we're starting to look at storage, we're starting to look at tables and chairs and that kind of stuff. Obviously, we bought some things here, but we got probably about $100,000 more in orders that we're getting pricing on from between Clarion Office Equipment, Ohio Desk, and K-12.
And again, those aren't including the new programs.
Those are not including new programs, yes. Some of the new programs we will use this money for, just so we're clear. We put aside $250,000 to build the new program in the budget annually. Like that's been in the budget the last couple of years, to do sports therapy and now to do emergency protective services. The expansion of health and Cosmo furniture equipment will come from this. That
And
250.
some of that in, because your projected is lower than your actual little bit, so is some of that furniture in here or not?
No, it's tech. It's Mike's toys.
Wait, say that again?
He projected it, Sam's talked about it, it's under tech.
Yeah,
So it says
that's still
project-
Mike's money.
I'm greedy.
Mike is taking a lot of money.
Mike's had a lot of
So
headaches.
there's some more.
Mike almost got himself fired this morning, he didn't even realize it. He gets fired about once a week, in case you guys are wondering, that's the running joke.
Because old cell phone towers went down, right, Mike?
Yeah, because the cell phone, yeah. no,
Mike got blamed by the cell phone towers all down.
I got the blue screen again, like literally, I was doing the grant. And it's the grants in the state system, and if any of your districts have ever heard any stories, they're horrible. And it went to blue screen, and I know that you know this. E-grant system of the state, oh my gosh. You know, and you have to redo like half of it, it's such a pain. Yes, Misty,
Yeah, I was
yes,
there.
you walked in, and I'm like, no! Yeah.
So she caused it.
She did not cause it, she helped solve the problem. She helped solve the problem and take some of it to start working on to help me with the CLNA and the E-grants of the state.
So there's some money left, obviously there's not tons and tons, we can
It's a good point.
do everything.
One of the things we had talked about is the change order for the HV, the airflow of the masonry area, and I just chose not to do it. We're gonna use what's existing, and we're gonna use our students to do student projects over the next couple of years to address that situation and make it better. And I wasn't going to the $150,000 change order of a whole dust collection system. It's basically the same that they have outside of, for the masonry area, and I just chose to say, hey, you guys didn't address this in design, and you said it was okay, and we're gonna take it as okay, and we're gonna have the students then address the tarp wood system that's so ugly down there. So, yeah.
Any other questions on building or renovations or anything? Obviously still working.
We're in good shape, we're in good shape though, your investment, you know, we're gonna,
We're at what, like 97%?
yeah, I mean, not in contingency and furniture and equipment, but overall project, yeah, we're there.
You're probably getting down to a fairly small group that's here now, right? There's just still a lot of workers.
It's fairly small. It's all punch list items pretty much that each trade is working on. And then the problems of doors not working and going back through PA systems not working and stuff like that. It's not working properly. So,
Very good. Okay, so Julie's gonna present now. Is she the alumni? Is that what this says?
I am actually not alumni.
No, but alumni organization. so-
That's what we're kind of focusing on. So I promised to be short, sweet, and to the point. And I thought, do I even need a PowerPoint? But who doesn't like a visual? Matt will correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that we share the same vision as to where we want ECTS headed moving forward. And I think I kind of want to focus on three things, just to kind of float it out there, welcome feedback, and then kind of prep you for the foundation meeting that we have next month. Okay? So go ahead, Mike, if you want to go to the next one. Moving forward, we really want to have a bigger community presence, work on our networking. We want people on our campus, in our building. We want to reduce those negative stigmas that we've had for years upon years upon years. Okay? So we've got a beautifully renovated building. We want people to enjoy it. So we want to build up our relationships with the Rotary Club, Erie Together, all of these different groups and organizations. And some of them lend themselves to easier networking opportunities. Like they've got business after hours. We have the ability to host a business after hours, bring those folks into our building. Maybe we can have just the local unions have one of their meetings on site. You know, culinary cooks for them, they're utilizing our spaces. Again, just to bring folks in, show them what we're proud of and the things that we're accomplishing. So we want to work on those things. And so every opportunity that we have, we would like to capitalize that so that we're moving forward and being well known. If you want to go to the next one. I would really like to establish an alumni association. And in all honesty, you guys probably have more experience than I do. Denny, I'd love to sit down with you and learn about everything that you've done with Fort LaBeouf. I think that we could really utilize an alumni association. We have several alumni that are on staff. And when I floated this idea out to them, they got very, very excited because they're proud alumni. They're excited to be here. We were just talking about two folks that serve on two different occupational advisory committee meetings, and they were here last week. Proud alumni. They would be very excited to get involved in something like that. And I think the opportunity is there. We just need to start it. I believe that I've got current alumni in the building who are interested in running with that idea. And again, it's that awareness piece. We did a small questionnaire last year asking students why they decided to come to ECTS. They were our current students. Was it the visit as a 9th grader? Was it a social media post? Like, why are they here? The vast majority of our students said that they were here because of somebody that they knew that attended here. It was the positive word of mouth and exposure And when we've got proud alumni all over the place, we want to capitalize on that because, again, we think that's part of our recruitment piece. So establishing an organization would bring in those proud alumni, and ideally, I would like to have a connection between our foundation, beef that up, and an alumni association. So if Mike goes to the last slide, we want to increase our foundation funds. And there's lots of opportunities for fundraising, whether it's golf scrambles, bingo nights, different things like that. And again, I think if we have that alumni association that supports and facilitates a lot of these things, we could really beef up the funds with a foundation. And those funds go back to our students, and the more funds we have, the more distribution we can have with those. It's not cheap to put kids in uniforms, get them equipped with tools, get them some of these industry certifications. You know, we get all of our students OSHA 10 safety certified, and that's like $32 or something like that a seat. But then you're looking at the CDA, it's the Child Development Associate credential that Kendra was talking about. That's a $350 test. Most of my students can't afford that. They're struggling to try to come up with fundraising on their own to do something like that. If we beef up an alumni association and therefore the foundation, we can support our students. And that's the whole reason why we're here. So you'll notice on the bottom, I listed small games of chance. I think it would be fantastic if our foundation applied for a small games of chance so that we could utilize that, take advantage of it. I'm not out and about doing a ton of things in the adult world because mine are so little. But people like small games of chance, and especially things that we can set up where we've got minimal or no risk on our end and it's all reward, the better off we're gonna be to establish those funds. So I would like to revisit this next month at the foundation meeting, but I just kind of wanted to share with you my vision, what I believe to be Matt's vision moving forward, and just some possibilities for the foundation and an alumni association.
So our staff, we have some young staff, and you know, they want to make things kind of fun as well. So that's when they said like a golf scramble. We totally could run a golf scramble. We could probably get whole sponsors, all of our OAC, they're all business. You know, throw $100 in, sponsor a hole, you know, and all of a sudden we made $10,000, and now we're paying for all those $390 tests that sports therapy has to take for their credential.
One of them.
In one event, yeah. And I think we have, I mean, it's a reason to have fun too with alumni, right? And so forth. You know, we talked about small games of chance, we talked about maybe just even a social night type scenario with hosting the chamber after hours. One, to get your sense of what is acceptable, what is not. You know, obviously you throw alcohol at something and, you know, different people have different opinions on whether that's acceptable or not. Being a public school entity on school grounds, Perry hosts highways, you know, kind of our event hosting center, that's where we're looking to do some of that. Like, hey, listen, we'll host those events over there. You know, have a fun night out type scenario. You could drop your kids off here, early childhood, free babysitting, and then you could go over there and have an alumni association bingo night or something like that.
You just can't pick up your kids afterwards.
One drink minimum.
One
drink.
I know,
Maximum.
Soup and I graduated together.
Okay, cool.
And we didn't go through ninth grade and walk through the building. Mill Creek, I don't know if Mill Creek does that today, but we didn't do that back in 1985.
We were just talking about that at dinner. When I graduated from McDowell, well, when I was in ninth grade, if you wanted to investigate the tech school,
You had to ask.
you had to ask, and then you could go. If it wasn't on your radar, because you didn't have a clue what went on in here,
Yeah.
no figure, you didn't attend. And so I loved McDowell so much, I was like, I don't want to go somewhere else for half a day. So I never explored the possibility. It was just gone,
Right.
you know? It's sad.
Yeah, and
We're gonna fix it.
I know that Soup is big into the entire ECTS community.
Yeah.
So I think he would be somebody who was probably gonna spearhead a couple of these little things. I just
Yeah.
have a feeling.
Yeah.
So I mean,
We've got passionate folks out there.
he is very passionate, and I know he, like I said, being an alumni, being a Mill Creek former Trojan, he's got the spirit to do it.
Yeah.
So
We started our foundation about 15 years ago. Just last night, we announced $1 million in holdings. It adds up.
It does.
It just put $1 million.
And we have alumni that own businesses that make a lot of opportunity for, like, let's build an outside pool barn type scenario, outside lab of welding to go to a two-teacher lab. Like, you know, I'm starting to plant some of those seeds with like the sprayers and whatnot, that maybe, you know, when I said to Bob Warren, we turn away 50 kids that wanna go into welding every single year because we don't have space, and he looked at me like, wait, what are you talking about? I'm like, $200,000, we could build an outside, you know, learning lab type scenario and go to 2 teachers, and he's like, we need to talk.
One of our kids at Harbor Creek wanted to learn how to do underwater welding, and you guys obviously don't offer that.
Well, we have had that conversation.
For a couple million.
No, so, heavy equipment, you know, we're in a discussion about heavy equipment, we're gonna try to run a diggers and dumpers event on our campus next year. But one of the businesses that's desperate for people in heavy equipment, Lisa, help me with the name? Shivers.
Shivers.
Yeah, they're running their own school right now.
Yeah, they are.
Exactly, and they're looking for a spot to put more training and whatnot. And so the conversation I had with them was, you guys are looking for land to do heavy equipment training. If we went into an agreement where your heavy equipment's here, you use our land, that's how we get the heavy equipment for our heavy equipment program. That's, you know, when you talk heavy equipment, you talk $100,000 doesn't even buy you equipment to run the program, right?
We're talking $500,000 to $1 million for a good piece of
So right now, we're just gonna look at doing a diggers and dumpers fun event here in the fall. But they are looking for that, as this would be a great site for them to have.
It would be.
The rental of our property that's kind of being unused back there, to put their heavy equipment training stuff, so that we could then run a heavy equipment program, use a skills center, and their equipment is a discussion that's occurring. Again, nothing of that happens without me coming through you guys, just so you know, but these seeds are being planted for future programming, and I definitely think the market of Erie needs a heavy equipment program. I mean, I have the Bay Creek telling me that would be awesome. I got Shivers calling me that would be awesome.
National Fuel's in the paper all the time looking for operators.
PennDOT, National Fuel, I mean, I think that's a program that would be very, very strong for our community. But again,
I think the closest technical
Step-
school for that is down Williamsport, if I remember right.
for heavy equipment. But Edgar County used to have a heavy equipment program, they did away with it because of the cost of the equipment, the cost of
Clear down
maintaining
to
the program.
Williamsport to get a class.
Now, do we
Rick
anticipate?
doesn't even know this, so, we just had a meeting last week.
Just take it all
Baby
in.
steps, baby steps, baby steps.
I
Yeah.
see him reaching his pocket and hit record.
Because heavy equipment requires a special license. I know Bay Creek, when they hire you, you have to have your CDL. So do we have something, if we're gonna do something like that, have we looked into something with CDL licenses as
We
well?
already have that.
Oh, we do?
Right.
We already do that in our adult ed programming.
I meant for the kids.
Well, we would have to, that would be
Yeah.
part of that program, but
But
there's
it's
also
21.
age.
It was 21.
It would be all the prep
You need
stuff.
CDL? Oh,
You
I'm
must
sorry, I
be
didn't know
18
that.
years of age for a CDL.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that. I thought you could start to take classes before you were 18 now. Oh,
Yeah, so we have not bridged all those possibilities. We have just started with a conversation with Shivers, am I saying that right?
Shivers.
Shivers, I wanna say Shivers.
No, it's like Shivers.
Yeah, Shivers, it's not spelled like Shivers.
No.
But, what's that? Yeah. We just had that conversation that was first like, we wanna host a cool event with you guys. And call our heavy equipment distributors, Komatsu and, you know, all those. I'm missing a ton, but yes, Cat, John Deere. And run like a weekend festival here and have the state meeting here of their association. Like, we just had that conversation and the idea was then all of our students get to go, while it's here for those couple days, experience that, right? And then, you know, have a kid event where they can climb and run and do
Kids love
and
that.
have food trucks and, you know, almost a little festival that we then
Yeah.
maybe turn into a annual Oktoberfest
Yeah.
here. But,
I know whenever I rent heavy equipment, the neighborhood kids,
yeah. Can we sit in that? all of our high school kids would be the same, the same way.
I'm like,
Yeah,
I mean, I love riding the Bobcat personally.
Yeah. But it makes sense, and I think the vendors would be into it to have it here. We have this nice, and they want to have this competition of some type. So that's how this all spells back to underwater welding. So that's how we dig the pond that becomes the underwater welding, training site.
Because we don't live on
I
the
think if-
theory.
I think if the question is though, are we open to something like this or what? I think the answer is yes. Right?
I think that's amazing.
Absolutely.
All
So
of
we
the
were gonna
above.
start with like a golf scramble, then we were gonna go to like an, chamber after hours event type networking. And I think it's the perfect time to kind of capitalize on the renovation project. Everyone wants to see the shiny penny, see our building, walk around, host some events. Like we talked about, we're
First
doing,
pick-
wanna
first
do a
pick
kickoff in August of the new building with the new school year. With the final touches getting done this summer. And then that's when we launch the Alumni Association, we go for the small games and chants, we start to do some things, raffles, fundraisers. Sorry.
They also do tools and
It's
toys.
okay, we've met. She's used to
A
it.
tools and toys thing.
Julie, I love everything about this.
Good.
And I think it helps the growth and the vision that we've all got for ECTS and,
Yeah.
and where we wanna continue on. So, I mean, great job.
I think one of the things that we did with our foundation is, I think our boosters have their own Games of Chance license, but I think our foundation purchased one that then so if you've got a lab here that wants to do something, they only do it once a year, it's not worth them going and paying the
Right.
fee to get that. The foundation could get that license.
That's what I was
Allow
thinking.
them to use that.
Yeah,
Like Harbor Creek has their PTOs do it.
Yeah, I think something like that would be, we're gonna get into something.
And so that goes into that lab side of things, like cosmetology wants to go to like a major conference of that industry, right? A trade show, I guess it's called, for beauty. And they're looking at a New York trip, they're looking at a Chicago trip, whatnot.
Every other, don't they, New York one year, then Chicago the next, or?
That's what they've done in the past. My philosophy is that there's gotta be some fundraising to make that happen, and then they're asking what they can do. And with the small games of chance and the foundation, they could have a bingo night, they could have a fun student, like game night. Everyone, pay $5 to get in and, maybe give away some small games of chance money winners and make it fun.
We've done a Cocoa and Color.
Oh, I'm telling you,
Does the foundation currently have a 501c3?
that's one of the questions
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I thought so. I was assuming, I guess,
Yeah, we created one.
yeah. Yeah, with over $200,000, I'm pretty sure we
Yeah, we
definitely are, without researching that deeply, yes.
I mentioned what we would be using these funds for. And one thing that I didn't think to put on here, but it's very pertinent, especially now, was we've got a larger population of students going to the Skills USA District competition in April. What did I say, districts? States, thank you. The state competition, that is increased amount of money that we need to spend on that, So Mike's been trying to rack his brain with the other advisor of how do I come up with $5,000 in the next month, because this is a heftier bill that we're not used to. So having these funds available would be very, very helpful.
And that's why you see it on tonight's agenda as one of the things that we ask for your consideration for add as a potential fundraiser, but like this would obviously definitely help reduce the, the burden, because you gotta imagine, these kids come part-time, they're in your school's part-time, when they're here part-time. We don't wanna not give, we want to teach them fundraising responsibility, but if we have extra money lying around to help with these things, it's like win-win for everybody.
Yeah, because they're already doing all the sports and everything else, and there's musical fundraisers and everything else within your own networks and schools. So yeah, so it sounds like this is well received, and we'll obviously bring a formal approvals, and it'll be at the foundation meeting next month. But we're gonna start planning that golf scramble, and
He's really excited
this
about that
alumni
one.
association. I like the golf scramble, because that'd be like a work day for me on a Friday where we're golfing,
No, we're working the event to
We're working
raise
the
money
event,
for
yeah.
students.
No, I just think there's an opportunity to really grow, and one of the things that we talked about was the goal was the kids that come here don't have to pay out of pocket $400 for cosmetology kits and $390 for the certification test for CDA or sports therapy. That's our goal. We already supplement that with some Perkins funding. Like right now, what we try to get to where is the kid pays half and we pay half with Perkins if they qualify in certain ways. But it'd be a lot nicer to just say, hey guys, you're coming here, this is what we're paying for. So, okay, with that, I think we're ready for the main meeting. Executive session, we only have our hires. I don't think we even need to go to it. Unless someone wants to.
Very good. Seen the agenda.
Move on.
Okay.
All right then, let's call this meeting to order. Have a moment of reflection. Let's stand and pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call from the side table.
I'm doing it for Jessica this evening. Mr. McManus.
Here.
Mr. Fortson.
Here.
Dr. Wag.
Here.
Mr. Oslanik.
Present.
Ms. Brink.
Here.
Mr. Koblenz.
Here.
Mr. Lindner.
Here.
Mr. Boyd.
Here.
Mr. Ring.
Here.
Mr. Gilbert.
Here.
Mr. Morvay.
Here.
Thank you for all coming. It's great to have everybody here. Right? I think I counted everybody. We do not need an executive session, so we don't need to announce that. And there are no amendments, so it takes us to meeting minutes. Somebody would like to motion that.
Morvay, so moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Student accomplishments and highlights, we have those already. Is there anything additional?
Just a lot of students being recognized for doing great stuff. If when you go through the second quarter, there's a long list of great things happening here. So just highlight that that's good news that so many students are doing so well.
Excellent. Student of the month then also.
Yeah, they're in there. They're listed.
Guest and public comment, anybody like to address the board? And guest rather. Important items coming to ECTS, anything further into that?
I mean, we have pre-apprenticeship day tomorrow, right? We got all of our apprenticeship, different union trades here presenting to students. We have another day coming up. What's the other? Military day. Military panel in March. So there's a lot of stuff going on there, even though we didn't list it there. So a lot of good stuff happening.
How many of the union trades do you have coming in?
That's a great question.
Mary Fulcrod, our career counselor, organizes that.
6 or 8, I believe.
Nice.
And then operations, we have B, we're going to, so do we need a motion to table on that? So let's handle that first, motion to table B till next month.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So then operations is the budget, instructional aid, job description, field trip request.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on any of those items? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Business managers report.
Okay, I will again read for Jess. General fund balance is $3,311,352.22. The capital projects fund is $4,267,705.26. Student activities funds, $6,606.70. Benefit accounts, $20,272.49.
Treasurer's report, anything under that? You've got your checks, banks, wire transfers, statement of activities, open invoice, payable, Visa payments. So it takes us to G to approve all those items.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
And one more thing from Jess, reminder, statement of financial interest, if you can have your boards forward a copy to us.
Not send an email too, for everyone to do it online.
Yeah,
She'll
send
send
that
out an email reminder as well.
Very good, thank you. With a link.
Do it all in one form, just put your school district and the tech in the same form.
At both places.
You have mine, right?
I do.
Over G.
Helps you lose mine, no, helps you lose mine. Yeah, we bought it last.
Very good.
Send it on to Jess.
So we got move to second. Any more discussion on any of those items? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Administrative Services and Human Resources report. Anything?
Nothing other than what's in the report, we're just really happy we got some good instructional aides that started this week and seem to be fitting in well.
Somebody quit the first day.
Nobody quit.
Nobody
quit the first
Mad.
day.
It's a good day. And then there's also policies under that.
Quite a bit on policies of readings,
Right.
just so you're aware, but it's all updates through PSBA.
Yeah. There was a lot.
Good job. And then we have hiring and subs, resignation, retirements and leaves. We don't have any under there, I don't believe, right? And then, takes us to motion E there, 10E.
So move Gilbert.
Second, Boyd.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Now, the long-awaited superintendent's report.
Mr. Ring, I have nothing formal to report this evening, I apologize for that.
That's tragedy.
Good report.
Very succinct.
And we've had the director's report.
Yep.
Anything else, did you?
No problem.
Solicitor's report.
And I have nothing to report.
We like all of you.
Principal's report.
Nothing beyond my report.
You couldn't dare say anything,
No.
right? Supplemental reports and information. Any motions there? I think there is anything.
Just a bunch of
Just
information.
things to look at and keep you informed. Is there anything else for the good of the order?
Fundraising, there's fundraising, there's a motion for fundraising.
We had earlier, okay, there's another one here, yep. So 14B. Would I like to motion that?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? That's what you were referring to earlier. We didn't miss it, good. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Anything else for the good of the order? Do we want to motion this to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. I will say, next month, meeting is on Monday, Thursday. That's gonna throw off the majority of us.
Say that again.
It's the fourth Thursday, which is Monday, Thursday, it's the
Thursday
Thursday
before Good Friday.
before,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's the day before,
It's Holy Thursday.
yes. A lot of services, things like that, but we're good, we're gonna have a quorum, yes?
But
not
because of that.
Okay, no vacations, come on. All right, so with that, all those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Take care of that.
Great, thank you all. Have a great evening.
Yeah.
So refuse to say anything like that.
Correct.
I have stuff on the